Hello again, everyone. John Flynn here from Flynn Real Estate, serving Southern Ontario, based out of the Niagara region. Nobody really knows what's happening in the market these days. Is it going up or down? We have record low unemployment. We have sticky inflation, high interest rates that may or may not go up or down. We have bidding wars, bull traps, pent-up buyer demand, unaffordable housing, and even the Bank of Canada seems to not have a handle on where things are at. So I just want to revisit in the last month just a few of the news releases or statements from them, kind of showing, how mixed up their outlook is or their predictions are for the market. So, of course, we know on January 25th, the Bank of Canada raises the benchmark rate 0.25%, announces a conditional pause on hikes. So, of course, all the investors are celebrating. It's the pause. Things are going to be turning around soon. They're going to be pivoting. He said this is not a pivot. This is just a pause to assess going forward. Then on February 16th or so, we get news that Tiff Macklem is sticking with rate hike pause despite blowout jobs report for now. So not really too sure now at this point, it seems to me. And then we have another article from the CBC. Bank of Canada might need to raise rates if companies keep raising prices, Macklem warns. So we went from pausing to sticking to our pause to, well, we might have to raise because retailers are sticking it to consumers with higher, prices on groceries and whatnot. So, not a very clear message from the Bank of Canada, and it kind of represents the overall market as I can see it at this point. Another major ongoing, it happened about a week and a half ago, was Fair Square, which used to be Purple Bricks, what used to be Calm Free before that. They closed their doors, and you can see here, please be advised that Fair Square Group Realty is no longer accepting new business. So this was just like all of a sudden, Friday, I think it was, they just announced their close and all their listings got taken off MLS. Desjardins Group shuts down Fair Square Realty, blames slow housing market. So for those of you who don't know, it's obviously owned by Desjardins, which they acquired it in 2020 under the Purple Bricks name. The decision to cease operations of Fair Square was not an easy one, Desjardins spokesperson Chantal Corbeil said in an email. We have made efforts to promote Fair Square activities, but the rapid deterioration of the housing market and its business model do not allow us to continue operations, she said. In mid-2020, Desjardins spent $60.5 million for Purple Bricks' Canadian subsidiary, which included operations in Quebec called DuProprio and Purple Bricks in Ontario, Manitoba, and Alberta. So it seems that was a pretty expensive endeavor or business venture for Desjardins, and it looks like they're going to be losing a ton of money on that deal. So I want to move on to some recent data, and I'm going to talk about these bidding wars or multiple offer situations and just kind of how the market's looking for February. Preliminary stats, and this is for surrounding Ontario, surrounding GTA, I should say. And I just want to take a look because you hear a lot of talk and news about these, the market's gone crazy again. So I kind of want to put that into perspective and look at the data and give you my opinion on it. So for those of you that are familiar and those that are not, here is the map of the areas that I'm covering or the boards that are covered in this. So it's a major part of Ontario. It's not the GTA. I don't have access to that. And also people ask about Calgary and Ottawa and a lot. I don't have access to their board data. I have to wait for news releases just like the general public does. So it's hard for me to kind of analyze it same way I do this. But this is kind of a good reflection of the overall Canadian market, this data set. So here's a chart for that area in Ontario, and the average price has jumped 5% in February as of February 25th. So a pretty significant increase for a declining market or a bear market, I should say. So previously, back in late 2022, I had called for a bull trap or a dead cat bounce, whatever you want to call it. It seems I might have been a little early on that projection because you can see here clearly it's either the market recovering, which I doubt at this point with interest rates and the Bank of Canada, trying to induce a recession. So it looks like this could be the bull trap now. So again, be careful with it. And we're going to get into some more data to see what else we can find. And here is the head and shoulders pattern. We have a very pronounced right shoulder now. I was a little early again, just like the bull trap on that other prediction. But now you can see it has clearly formed a right shoulder. And we know what happens. Usually there's a decline after this. So just pay attention to this pattern. And let's move on. So after hearing and seeing a few myself of these multiple offer situations, I kind of wanted to, again, apply some data to it to see how widespread it is and percentages and whatnot. So I started with my own region, the entire Niagara region, 500,000 population or so. And you can see 12.6% of the sales in the last week. This is 1 week sales from February 19th to the 25th, all residential sales. So 12.6% sold for over asking price. Then I wanted to compare the amount of dollars over compared to the amount of dollars under on negotiations, right? So this is what the highest price over the asking was and what the lowest price under the asking price was. So the most over in the region was $50,100 for that week. And of course, most under was 174.9. So the unders are still coming in a lot lower than the prices over. And in the corner there, I have our sale price to original list price. It's 94.7%, so not a significant jump there. I've done 3 areas on this analysis, and the next is Hamilton, the greater Hamilton area. You could see 24.7% of listings in that same week, February 19th to the 25th, have sold for over the asking price. And the most over asking was 101,100, and the most under asking was $443,000. So it seems there's a lot more negotiation still on the higher priced homes than there is paying over asking on the lower priced homes. Because again, a lot of these homes that are going over are priced low to attract multiple offers. People are not setting new records with prices. And the sale price to original list price in Hamilton is 96.7%, has gone up a bit from the previous month. And the last area I wanted to check was Kitchener. I saw a tweet or something from someone somewhere saying over half the homes in Kitchener in the last week were selling for over asking price. So here it is. It is true. 62.8% of homes in Kitchener in that week, in that last week, February 19th to the 25th, sold for over asking. Now, there was only 43 sales, so not a huge data set. And the highest over asking price was pretty significant, $250,100. And the lowest under was 55,000. Sale price to original list price ratio is over 100%. It's 102.7% in Kitchener. It looks like they're suffering with an inventory issue there, but I haven't really analyzed the market that great. I just want to check these numbers. And then for the entire ITSO, all the areas surrounding GTA from the map before, 25% of the 930 homes that have sold in the last week sold for over asking. That's a pretty significant number, but not something I'd be too concerned about for the long term. And it just so happens for all those areas, we've already seen the highest over and the lowest under, 250,000, and that was from Kitchener, and 443,000, which was from Hamilton, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was Ancaster, actually. And the overall sale price to original list price is 97.4%. So what does this all mean, right? They're selling multiple offers. Well, there's many factors at play here. Again, I think this is going to be a short-lived phenomenon. Most of them are being priced low to get the multiple offers, to get them sold. Over half the properties in my area in the Niagara region that I've seen in the last week, they sold for over asking, yes, but they were priced low. They sold for around what the market value is. And also over half of them were previously listed and expired or canceled and at higher previous list prices. So they have been on the market, and the agents now have gone back to the strategy. So this is more of a strategy than it is a supply and demand or the market taking off, in my opinion. And one thing you have to remember is the multiple offer strategy. It helps temporarily boost sales when inventory is low and, of course, buyers are coming off the sidelines. And you have to add the February effect into that too, where in February, there's always a lot more buyers than there is inventory. So we always have this peak in activity or multiple offer situations in February, especially over the last couple of years. So we're going to see that taper off, I'm guessing, as the spring comes and more inventory comes, and you're going to see that multiple offer situation decline, and the agents are going to be sitting there saying, oh, what happened to the market? It was so great in February, just like the last 2 years have been exactly like this. And just a few more things that would help drive that increased activity would be, buyer anxiety and just the pent-up demand from the buyers, right? The verbiage from the Bank of Canada has kind of created it too, where they're saying, well, look, we're going to pause rates. So now everyone's expecting, oh, this is it. The recession or the housing downturn's over. And of course, you have the propaganda from the industry professionals, whether it's realtors or mortgage brokers, saying now's a great time, get in while you can, get in before prices go back up. We have multiple offers, so that's going to create this kind of frenzy. So again, be careful. This is going to be short-lived, in my opinion, and come, end of March, maybe into April, we're going to see the same thing we have for the last 2 years, where that demand falls off because supply increases. And the last thing I want to talk about today is property tax increases, which is, again, all to do with inflation. These are like these lagging inflationary pressures. They come now, these cities have bigger operating budgets or things are more expensive and they have to deal with them. So they're increasing property taxes in many of the places. So you see them hitting the news all over. So I did a quick compilation. I just want to go through them briefly, starting with my own region. Regional Council finalizes budget with 7.58% tax increase. And that's in the Niagara region. Small BC community approves 17% property tax hike, mostly to pay for police. Wow, that's a huge increase. Vancouverites facing nearly 10% property tax hike in 2023 budget. Region of Waterloo to raise taxes by 8.5%, about $187 for the average property. Richmond Hill approves nearly $200 million budget with 3.72% increase. And many of the cities or regions that are approving these like 4% or 3.5% to 4% tax increases, they're actually bragging that it's way less than inflation. So it's like, okay, inflation's at 6%. We're only raising your taxes by 4%, which is a lot considering it's usually 2 to 3% a year. Brampton homeowners will see 5.7% property tax hike if proposed 2023 budget passes. Proposed Kitchener City budget includes 4.8% property tax increase. Mississauga Council approves no frills budget, including 3% property tax increase, more overnight bylaw enforcement. For a 3% increase, you get a no frills tax increase and more traffic tickets or parking tickets. And I've seen that be a common theme with many municipalities. And you see them, a lot of them that aren't hiking, they're increasing their parking rates and their parking fines. So they're going to, get their money regardless. I think in my city, they've proposed that same thing. Let me know in the comments if your city has any proposed tax increases or property tax increases. And if you have any comments or questions on any of the content today, I love reading them. I try to respond to them all. And until next week, I'll see you then.